All right, so if we are given a function f of x is equal to 2x squared plus 5x minus 3, is the point negative 1, 3 on the graph? Another way of saying this is this a solution? So I can go ahead and our notation will be f of negative 1. I replace negative 1 for x and simplify that. Remember, square this first, so that would equal just 2 minus 5 minus 3, or negative 6. So what you see here is this is what the y value should be. So therefore, this is not on my function. So do the same thing for the next one. This time just plugging in 2. I would get 2 times quantity of 2 squared plus 5x minus, that needs to be a 2 inside there. Let me just change that real quick. Or 8 plus 10 minus 3. All of that is equal to 15. So that does match. So yes, this is on the graph and they are both solutions. In the next slide, I'm going to ask the same question, but I'm going to ask the question in reverse. All right, so the first question is saying if x is equal to 1, what is f of x? So remember, what they're really asking is to plug that in and find out what y is. So if I go ahead and do that, I have 2 times 1 squared plus 5 times 1 minus 3. I simplify all of that out. That is equal to 4. So the point will be 1, 4. And just for clarification, this up here, that is a y. This is my x value and then my y value. The second question is exactly the opposite. They're saying if f of x is equal to negative 6, remember this is my y value. So what I do here is I do and take the entire first piece and I set 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. I set that equal to my y value, which is negative 6. Now, this is a little bit more than you might first think. What we have here is a quadratic equation. I know that's a quadratic equation because the highest exponent for my x is a 2. So what I have to do here is set everything equal to 0. I'm going to go ahead and do that by adding 6 to both sides. Then I go ahead and I'm left with 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 is equal to 0. I need to go ahead and factor this. So the way I have always taught factoring is you take a, multiply it times c, put it over b. A times c gives me my 6. B is 5. You are looking for two factors that multiply to equal the top number 6 and add to equal 5. So because the 6 is positive, those signs must be the same. So in this case, we're looking for a positive 2 and a positive 3. So to factor this, always put in your first terms first. My first term in this case are what two numbers would equal the 2x squared. So that has to be 2x and x. Now, factoring is FOILing in reverse. So the next piece is I need to make the inside and outside coefficients match. One of those two values have to have the coefficient of a 2. The other would have to be a 3. I get those two numbers from the side factors. So that tells me that I'm going to want to make this a 1 here and a positive. That will give me a value of positive 2x. The next value here is going to have to be a positive 3. That'll give me my inside and outside term of a 3x. So now this is factored and this is equal to 0. I'm not quite done yet. Now I have to go through and solve this equation. I do that by setting each of those two parentheses equal to 0. So to finish this, I have 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. I need to solve that for x. 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide both sides by 2 to get x is equal to 3, negative 3 over 2. The other value that I have here is x is equal to negative 1. So interestingly enough, what I have here, let me just shrink this whole page down so we can take a look at the whole question. So what we are looking at here is this actually gives us two different solutions. We have a solution at each point. So the 2 points both have unique x values. The first one is 1, and then my second x value I found was negative 3 over 2. And remember back what the goal is. Our y value to start with was what? Our y value was a negative 6. So both of these points have a y value of a negative 6.